Greetings, one and all. Another Stargods vlog. It's a COVID. Get out of here. The power of Christ compels. I'm not dramatic. People say I'm dramatic. I'm not that dramatic. So I want to talk about. I must first mention. I want to mention the fact that there's a big cold going around town here. It's been labeled as COVID, and now part of this town is shut down, locked down. Hey, hell, Caesar! Put your mask on for Caesar! You know? Uh, so you got to be aware. If you get a bad cold, it's not necessarily COVID, and if you want to go to the hospital or something, get it checked, they'll test you. And their tests usually always say, oh, it's COVID. It can't test for COVID. It's all made up. It's up to the people who are testing you to decide if it's COVID or not. And of course, they're going to get COVID because they get money, honey. And so don't go to the hospital. Then you'll be shipped off to 2 weeks quarantine at your expense, not the government. And there's no bailout for it. Well, at least in Canada. America, that communist Trump, communists love to spread the money, eh? Love to spread the money. And then all you people have to pay it back through income tax. It's just so. Anyways, that's a whole different subject. I want to talk about the moon landing. So the moon landing, everybody knows all the facts and figures and all that. And I'll throw just a few of those out, but let's take it logically. Okay, we had Sputnik. That was the excuse. I mean, the Illuminati made sure, the Jewish Illuminati made sure that the Sputnik would be a threat, and that, like COVID virus, the government could overreact and say, we got to start a whole new missile defense because they could carry atomic nuclear bombs. I grew up in the atomic age, and it was horrible. You go to school, and we had these drills. The teacher would be going, well, now 2 and 2 equals duck and cover. And we dive under, because that's what you're supposed to do when you see the flash. And when you see the flash, if you have any flour, you put it all over your skin to reflect the radiation, or aluminum if you could get some aluminum. As if. And just like then in the COVID virus, they were both lies. And COVID equals Y2K. Okay. So before I get into that and off the subject, let's get back to the moon landing. So now we have to have a space race. Oh my God, there's a little soccer ball in space and we're all dead. We're all gonna die. We gotta get, and then the people, the dumb donkeys. Oh, how much? Oh, I opened my wallet. Here, take it all. Just save us from the Russians. And so they made trillions of dollars. Billions and billions, at least billions. And then this Cold War began. It was so stupid. So obviously they had to have a space race. And then let's make it really worth it. Let's make the public drool. We're going to the moon. So Kennedy announces it, which is very, very strange. Within 10 years, we will be on the moon, or whatever he said. And they didn't have the technology back then. This was, even by today's standards, it's very complex. It's very intricate. It's very convoluted. But back then it was okay. It's like the president of the United States during the 1800s going, we're going to land on the moon within 10 years. And you look at the buggies and the wagons and you go, what? Oh, you can't drive to the moon. So what technology, what foundational technology did they have? Oh, rockets. What a joke. to land on the moon, you can know all you know about rocketry, but it's a whole different field. And then, uh, what's his name? Werner von Braun. He was the head of the rocketry, and he was a rocket expert from Germany. And guess what he said? You're going to need a rocket the size of the Empire State Building to get through the gravity of this Earth. And so you have a rocket size of the Empire State Building. Well, you're going to have fuel that's extremely heavy. You're not getting off the ground. He said that. I swear he said it. And I don't know how maybe there's some kind of reason. I want to know how they got past that, because when they announced going to the moon, everybody laughed. All the scientists were just like, oh, stop it. Don't play that Kennedy tape again. It was just considered a joke, because the initial heaviness needs tons and tons of fuel that makes it so heavy you're not going to get through the gravity, but it has to be big. And they had no protection from radiation. The lead would make the whole ship impossible to get off the ground. They couldn't perform that magical illusion thing of theirs that they do so well. So they were stuck in explaining that. But they said, oh, well, we put Reynolds wrap up there, and it really protects, and the gold foil, really protects, whatever. Fairy tales can come true. They can happen to you if you're BS'd at heart. So they didn't bother explaining that, but they had some cheap explanations as to childish explanations how they got there and all that stuff. Anyways, you're going to a territory of exploration that they knew nothing about. They didn't know anything about what's up there. So how can you prepare for something you don't know anything about? One guy in a comment, I was reading, I was going, huh? What is he talking about? He said, oh, it was all mapped, and astronomers mapped the skies. This isn't driving a car. This is a spaceship in the middle of the immensity of space. It wasn't driving a car. Oh yeah, that star, you turn left, then you go by that star, then you would get. No, how can you prepare for something? How can you prepare for an unknown environment? You can't do it. But they went up there. I forget the whole spiel, but I think they said they had the satellites. They took pictures of the Earth. Big deal. Oh, they knew what they were doing. My lobotomy proves it. They knew what they were doing. Oh, really? How come they didn't know about the Van Allen radiation belt? Whoops, I did it again. Like, they didn't know about that. But yet they're building ships for an unknown environment. They don't know what to put in these ships. Oh, there's weightlessness. I've never seen weightlessness proved. Weightlessness in space, they fake it all the time. They fake it. They faked it with that vomit comet, and they fake it with CGI. Why do they have to fake it? Because it obviously doesn't exist. Hit me, baby, one more time. I will. So how can okay, we're going to explore. We found a big pit in the earth, and down below we're going to explore. What do we need? Oh, flashlights. You're not going to be prepared. You don't, like Journey to the Center of the World by Center of the Earth by Jules Verne. I mean, he doesn't come up with anything for preparation because he doesn't know what's down there. So in the story, they have ropes and they got hooks. They got really antiquated technology to get down to them. And this is the same with we weren't going to the America is not going. I'm turning into Elmer Fudd or something. Anyways, they weren't prepared for unknown territory, what do you bring? You don't know what to bring because you don't know anything about what's up there. Maybe there was little space creatures that lived under the rock that would just jump out, go to the suit, and suck the blood from them. You didn't know that. So how can you prepare? Oh, we've got anti critter poisons and stuff. Yeah. Oh, really? Isn't that nice? So when they made that big pack, how did they know? How did they know? How did they know the temperature of the moon? Maybe there's a reason. Maybe I'll eat crow. But as far as I know, there's no way to tell. Oh, they took these magic light things and they could see the temperature on the moon. They always make up really, because that's what psychopaths do. They get caught in all their lies and then they come up with ridiculous arguments. Just something that a child would come up with. So for Kennedy to announce that they're going to the moon with no foundation of technology, but they had rocketry, which has nothing to do with the environment and how to deal with an unknown territory. He announces in 10 years we're going to have man on the moon. Like I say, during the wagon train days of the 1800s, the president steps forward and says, in 10 years, we're going to put a man on the moon. It's going to take a long time. It's going to take a lot longer than 10 years. In fact, they made it under 10 years, I think, just to add that little BS shine to their story. And so, because the Americans can do anything, they are God. Americans don't believe anything you tell them. COVID proves that. Same with Canadians. If I had to choose Dumb and Dumber, Canadians are dumber. Oh, it's embarrassing being Canadian. So, anyways, they were going to unknown territory. Well, they knew what they were doing. No, they didn't. How did they know anything? How would they know? I want to know. How would they know? Did they have thousands of probes go up there and check everything and check the temperature and check the surface, make sure there's no funny bacteria down there? They knew it all. That's why they went. Yeah, and then the Van Allen radiation belt. They just had a V8 moment. And so with the Van Allen radiation belt, how did they survive? What was it, six trips? How did they survive? They didn't even get... People get cancer from radiation. Did you know that? This was the highest level of radiation recorded at that time because of sunspot activity was raising the radiation on the moon like 10, 20 fold. But they have the magic suits. Superman donated the material. Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. Those are pressurized suits. You ever see what happens to pressurized balloons when they go up? Oh, all over the place. I mean, a pressurized suit is not going to... that doesn't even make sense. It's not logical. It doesn't even make sense. That sounds like a little fairy tale. They got the magic suits with the air pressure in them. Air pressure makes it worse. You're going to have a bigger explosion. But you know anything, well, whatever. I know you're not going to con me. And I loved the whole space race as a kid. I wanted to be an astronaut, and so I don't have a horse. I don't have a dog in this race, but this dog don't hunt. Do you understand? So you have to have. Okay, so now, let's say Henry Ford, he had to come up with a car. Within 10 years, we're going to have a vehicle that goes 110 miles an hour in 60 seconds. How would he even know where to begin? How would he? Because he's got gasoline. That's the same as NASA saying, well, we've got rockets. We got rockets. So you have this advanced, incredibly unknown, never before heard of advanced technology. And then what happens? Henry Ford comes up with a highly complicated computer-run Lamborghini. There's no background technology. There's no foundation of technology. There is no technology, established technology. So they came up with a new technology, which would have to be, every single part had to be a new invention. So where do you get the idea of fuel injection when you don't even know what a Lamborghini is? How do you come? They came up with all these special parts that just happen to be an extreme advance of technology, untested. All the tests were going wrong. There were rockets blowing up on the pad. The health and safety officer, I think it was, said, we ain't going to the moon. He had a 500-page report. He said, we ain't going to the moon. We're not going to the moon. We don't have the technology. He died. Gus Grissom, we don't have the he referred to it as a tin can. He said, I'm going to die. We're all going to die in the craft if we go up there. We don't have the technology. He was going to have a press conference that Monday. Well, he died in a flash fire. He was accidentally barbecued. They probably ate them, the satanic cult. They probably ate them. And then a whole bunch of others. Several other astronauts mysteriously died. Whoops, I died. And then the head of the safety and security, I think it was. Anyways, he stalled on the railway tracks. I thought that only happened in those black and white funny movies where they stall on the track and the train's coming. So it was just a farce. So you have no background technology. It'd be like, well, actually, Ford would have a better shot at it because he had his established cars and they were working. So they had a little bit of technical foundation. But let's go back to the horse and carriage and announce we're going to make, a race car, Lamborghini. Well, people. How do you invent parts for a Lamborghini when you haven't even have a clue at what a Lamborghini is? A space flight in a spacecraft. No knowledge of what to do or what to expect or how to prepare for things that you have no knowledge of. And that technology, you have a little piece of this, and this is a functional piece of the engine. You'd have to test it, retest it for years. You have to have a tried and tested foundation of technology. Then take that technology and put it together like a jigsaw puzzle. They never had any of that, but God bless it. God told America, but yeah. So let's see here. There's no foundation of technology except propaganda. This is where all the movies kicked in. Years before they went to the moon, they already told you everything about space. It's weightless in space. You're already told through all those movies, those propaganda movies. There's no precepts for going to the moon except the movies, eh? But if you know about rockets and nothing about advanced technology of spacecraft, that's good. That's good. Werner did it. Werner did it. Yes, yes, yes. Never. Okay. So you have to test these things, and the fact that this was a very extensively complicated project using technology that was even kind of advanced for our day, because they can't, because according to them they lost all the blueprints, so they don't have that technology anymore because that's how advanced it was. It's kind of silly, eh? So they can't make another craft to go to the moon because we can't figure it out. So it's like saying, oh well, somebody we can't, We can't create the old phones, the old porcelain phones. We can't do it. We don't have the technology. It's lost. They said it would all disappeared somewhere. I don't know the full story, but oh, and then you have what's called micrometeors. Now you have micrometeors. They're pieces of metal the size of your thumbnail. They're bullets, and they go much faster than a high-powered rifle. Yet it bounces off. Whee! Whee! It just bounces off their suits. Well, even if it bounced off their suits, you'd see them being blown back. When they're hit, eh? But they're wearing Velcro or something underneath, One hit would smash their ribs, instantly smash their ribs. One hit. It's faster than a high-powered bullet, but they're okay with it. And then on the other side of their mouth, NASA says they're quite common in space. It's very common to come, but the suits were designed to bang, 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 bounce them off like Superman. And there's a lot of really, really tiny particles like sand that are micrometers going, hundreds of, I forget, over 1,000 miles an hour or something. I forget the speeds. Look it up. Very high speed. So the ISS up there, just sitting there being happy. Well, by this time that would be sandblasted to non-existent. There'd be holes this big all over because constantly being sandblasted. Well, that's why they go outside and fix it. They got big sheets of metal, and you put it on your, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it's impossible. It's impossible. So now they have these shiny helmets with the glass that never become fogged from micrometeor blasts of sand. Literally, it's sand in space that would grind those shields right down to nothing. They'd be going around, oh, where are you, bud? Where are you, bud? But they look so shiny the whole time. The ship never, all those decals on the ship where it says United States of America in the flag, those would be ground down. Because NASA says it's very common in space to have these micrometeors. So what gives? I mean, what gives? I mean, it should have been ground down to nothing. When you see, everybody talks about the landing pads and there's no dirt or dust or anything. Yeah, and there's no wear and tear from the bombardment, And the heat, how did they know? This is the cake, okay? This is the big enchilada. They took up a camera that could operate with normal film. NASA said this camera was not special at all. It was an ordinary camera. I forget the name of the camera. Not Nikon. Anyways, they were really popular at one time. And normal camera, normal film. So 240 degrees below zero. The film doesn't freeze up inside. Oh, it's Mr. Rogers. He'll explain it. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. The film doesn't, and then when the film is heated up to 250 above, because they're in the sunlight, it doesn't bubble up and disintegrate. Oh no, this is happy film. It's a special blend of this. No, ordinary film, ordinary camera. That's what NASA announced. And totally ineffective. Then you have the worst level of radioactivity registered ever to that point. The radioactivity hasn't touched the film. Oh, well, it was a radioactive resistant camera, specially built by NASA. No, it wasn't, because NASA went on record as saying it was an Hasselblad. It was an ordinary Hasselblad camera. There's nothing special about it. Ordinary film. Well, I'd like to get some of that film, eh? I bet you go underwater with it. And in 1/6 gravity, how does it go at normal speed? I don't get this. How does it go at normal speed? Like, as if, eh? Um, so, and same with the heat should have destroyed that little dune buggy thing they had. And NASA did it again. Could have had a V8. They did it again. They said that the tires were just normal, everyday tires. In 250 degrees heat, they should have just melted. They should have just peeled off the of the inner what do you call it, hub completely, peeled off and smoked away. They should have seen piles of rubber and black smoke. Oh yeah, you can. There's no oxygen in space, but you get the drift of what I'm saying here. So how does that happen? How does that happen? And I just read somewhere where there was way too many pictures for the time. If you figured out mathematically for the time that they were there, they'd have to constantly be constantly. They're getting in their suits, click, 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 click. You know what I mean? So, anyways, I could go into hundreds of little things, but here's the important part. You have this highly advanced, highly untested new technology that just went to the moon like that. That there would be thousands of things could have gone wrong, but they didn't. It's wham bam off to the moon, man. Nothing happened. Oh, Apollo 13. That's nothing. Even if that was real, that's nothing. Their joints could just screw up. Bolts could come unhinged and unthreaded. We're in a vacuum of space. And this is another thing I don't get. I'm getting too long here, as usual. In space, they have the rocket. So they have the exhaust cup outside, the blast, right? And what happens is they have this fuel and it's sprayed and it's lit. And then, boom! But as long as that flap is open, creating this flame that can last for hours, as long as that's open, the vacuum of space would pull everything out, would pull the fuel, would pull the flame. I don't get it. And the fuel would hit the flame and you'd have a major explosion. And then the fuel expert said that it would all turn red when they land on the moon. There would be red smoke, and they were worried they would not be able to see where to land because it's a special fluid and it made red cloud. But that went fine. It was perfect. They had a windshield wiper. They know. NASA knows what they're doing. Don't ever question NASA, you fool. And the micrometeors, they would have shredded the vehicle. It would have just been like a sandblaster. Somebody with a sandblaster. And their helmets would have been like just totally, absolutely sandblasted. Absolutely sandblasted. The ISS shouldn't even be there. But they're out there and they're going, be gone, sandstone. We're good. So all these parts, and when they started out, everything failed. Everything failed. Rockets were exploding. The Armstrong had to bail out from the experimental lander. Everything went wrong. And then all of a sudden everything went right. And it's a miracle from Jesus. I love Jesus. This I know. Let's make way for a little science here, boy. And so you have thousands of parts, intricate, complicated parts that were not tested properly for years and years. They weren't, and they just work perfectly. And that's right. How is that possible? because they had that backup science. They had the backup technology. What was that? Booster rockets. That they can know everything about booster rockets. And and like I say, once that flaps open, the vacuum of space will will extract the fuel and suck it out. You know, if you got a little candle burning in a jar in space, and you go, yeah, with fuel in there, and you go, and it ignites. Well, it's gonna go out, isn't it? Duh. So that's the thing. People are so stupid. Highly, highly complex machinery that had not been tested for maybe a year, maybe 2 years maximum. It has to be tested and retested and retested and retested. How could they come up with parts? How could they even think of what they would need for such an unknown technology? Like in the 1800s with a Ferrari, fuel injection. Where would they come up with that? We need to build a fuel injector. Well, you don't even know what a fuel injector is. You don't even have a background in fuel injection training. Nobody knows anything about fuel injection. It doesn't even. We couldn't even make sense to electricity until we built electrical devices. It's beyond. It's in Never Neverland, but they did it. They did. God bless America. Yeah. Home of the land and the assassinated. Is there a doctor in the house? Good old America. Uh, Wait till Trump's finished with America with his brand new ideal of communism. Oh yeah, and then there was the lines on Mars. They're experts, and they told us there were lines, canals on Mars. Remember all the movies about canals on Mars? The movies tell you what the reality is, and then you go out and buy it. You buy right into it. You know, and imagine 4 pounds of pressure in these suits. 4 pounds of pressure. Imagine 4 pounds of pressure pushing on your fingers while you're trying to play piano. You're not going to play a delicate Mozart or something like that. All you're going to get is dun 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 dun, and then the other part you have to forget about because the 4 pounds of pressure. Put 4 pounds of pressure on your hand and move your fingers. Well, it moves fine for me. Yeah, because you're a retard. You're mentally lobotomized. Go. Go do the honor. So, yeah, and they're pressurized. So they had this thing on Mythbusters, if I remember correctly. They had the glove and the pressure and everything. They couldn't do anything. They couldn't even budge their fingers. The pressure. You budge your fingers with 4 pounds of pressure. Film it and put it on, and then prove there's 4 pounds of pressure in there. And don't give me these cover-up videos. Dun 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 dun. See, he can play piano with 4 pounds of pressure. Pick up something that's 4 pounds. You'll go, holy crap! I didn't realize how heavy that is. Doesn't sound like much, but you know, if you have the 2 pound arm lifters for sagginess, they're heavy. They're heavy. You drop them, they'll go right through the floor practically. Now imagine 4 pounds of pressure on your hands. Oh no, you get these people that just start mouthing off. They don't know it. There's a million of these know-it-alls with COVID, eh? No, this virus is dangerous because it stays alive for 2 days. And, no, it's just, they don't know anything. If you study viruses, then if you studied viruses, virology in school, you'd realize that's one of the biggest lies there are. They don't survive on outside of their environment. That's like the astronauts taking their suits off. Ah, what a mighty fine day. You know? Uh, oh, and then you see them in space. This is one thing I can never get. And they're eating and they're chowing down. So they swallow their food, but what pushes the food down? It's going to come up with uh, lack of weightlessness, because of weightlessness is going to come up. No, it doesn't. Your muscles push it down. Oh, really? Then how come we throw up food and everything? I don't get it. How come we can get a little fluid, acid reflux come up? It doesn't go down. You have to, otherwise you got to keep swallowing. So how do they keep the food down? How did the acid stay in the stomach? Because it'd be always coming up. Yeah, always coming up. And big, heavy mass of acid in your stomach pushing a little valve in here, just a little flap. The flap ain't going to win. Okay, that dog don't hunt. So there's all these questions and they're washing their hair. That's so funny. It gets really ridiculous. Washing their hair with water. One little particle of water like this. Oh, but they know all goes into the system. It will short the circuitry. But and the women, the hair, they would be shedding hair by hundreds of pounds in a year. But that's okay. It's unaffected, it's unaffected. And they should have had army cut hair. That long hair should have been cut right off and never allowed. But no, it's space. Look at my hair flow. Because they had to get that propaganda. They had to get that illusion of weightlessness. And the best thing that they can do is get the hair to go all over, The hills are alive with the sound of music. They had to get the hair going. And, it's every time they're interviewed in space, they have to subliminally enforce the belief that it's weightlessness, because they say, bye all, and they do a somersault. Every single time, if you're doubting, I'm going to do a somersault. Anyways, this is way too long. I thought this was going to be short. But you're not getting away from the micrometeors. They would have shred the landing pads. They would have shred the glass, maybe even break the glass. And what about a powerful one? It would go right through the ship like, pow. The ISS must be hit by bullets in space about 100 times a day at least. But they can keep up with it. Shoot shine for the ISS. I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous. And I don't know, heard one good point. Every sub that we have on the Earth, submarine and planes and everything, have to be mechanicked constantly. Parts are breaking down constantly. Has to be mechanicked, inspected and fixed, and you have to have the parts with you. But on the space station, they have all those parts. Oh yeah. You need tons of replacement parts, and everything breaks down. But untested, unknown technology of such great complexity is fine. It works fine. We went to the moon and back, and we all celebrated. Nobody got cancer. And yeehaw! I think the most telling thing is the astronauts. They're depressed. But no, it's not really. Yeah, it can be explained. I mean, if you went to the moon and saw the glories of the heaven, they have to come back to this crap hole, you'd be kind of depressed too. So I take that back. Of course they're depressed. They should naturally be depressed. Or they're depressed they're having to tell the world a lie. Tell that lie, boy. So anyways, wrapping this up. It's always long. It just totally does not make logical sense. How did they know about the atmosphere? How do they know about the reaction of a craft in a strange atmosphere? Because it gets very strange up there, and the temperature hits the roof So why all these, I think it's 280 degrees Fahrenheit up there at a certain, look at the layers of the earth and ask yourself, how come they didn't melt? And what I think is really funny is when the capsule, when it returns into the ocean, it's not black and smeared black streaks all over it from the flames. It doesn't even look like it was used. God bless America. Hail Caesar! Yeah. So I don't know. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you think. If you think I'm full of shite, well, then tell me. Anyways, on this station, broadcasting from Mars, you can pretty much say anything you want, unless you go on a big big long list of F you, mother effing son of a this and that, and then you get deleted. Otherwise, I don't care what you say. You don't have to believe me. You don't have to believe me, and you don't have to do character assassinations. And what am I saying? You don't have to. No, if you do that type of stuff, I'm not going to block you. I'm not going to ban you. Like Flat Earth and other hot potatoes used to do all the time. They delete, block, and ban. That's all she did. Delete, block, and ban. Delete, block, and ban. That's all she did. And she wondered why people were angry at her. Oh, they're all haters. They're just haters. Isn't that right, Mark? Haters. Yeah, that's a good one. You get me going with that one. Oh, Mark, enough for one day. That was the most ridiculous, childish show ever. They did nothing for the new flat Earth. This is what I like about the flat Earth. I don't, if it's real or not. I don't know. I think there's a good chance it's real, but it sure puts a monkey wrench into the system, doesn't it? I think it's great. It got people thinking about NASA. Otherwise, people weren't thinking of NASA. Where does the $52 million go every day? Right in their pockets to fund more projects to destroy us and to torture us more, to make us suffer even more. I see trees of green, red roses too. I see a COVID virus. Oh my God, it's all over. I mean, these stupid simpleton, these if you're happy and you know it, get another lobotomy. I've had 5 already. I'm on fire, boy. Look at these scars, man. Oh, that one's bleeding. So, anyways, okay, quarter 2. It's getting quarter 2 here. So that's it. Think for yourself. And they land on the moon, and it's just perfect. And in an unknown environment, they don't know what to expect. Yeah, it's like that commercial, this bean commercial where they land on the moon and all of a sudden there's this huge 20-foot creature comes up and grabs them, snaps their heads off. Why didn't they should have loaded up with lasers, protective lasers. You see? Yeah. So there you go. And this, but think for yourselves. And micrometeors. Hey, I want some hotshot to explain that to me. No, never mind. It's going to be ridiculous comments. Oh no, oh no, oh no. They put Teflon on the outside of the craft. Oh, really? Where did they say that? Where's the documentation for that? Anyways, adios, amigos. I'll be back.